Hello and welcome to Faithfully Stampin' with Jennifer Helm. I am Jennifer Helm, the Faithful Stamper, and I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! Today I have for you a fun fold card. This is an interlocking shape fun fold, and it's an interlocking shape fun fold because we have a shape on the front that interlocks with between the base of the card and the inside of the card. So it's a quick, simple fun fold. It looks like it might be complicated, but it actually isn't. There's not a lot of cutting and folding and scoring, just a little bit. And I'm gonna walk you through how we're gonna make this. So the first thing that we're going to need is a card base. For this card, I am using a piece of Melon Mambo cardstock. This is 8.5 by 5.5. And I have scored it at 4 1/4 on the long side. So it's what you would typically do with a card base. And then we are going to cut the hole in the front of the card for our interlocking shape. So to do that, I am using one of the die cuts from our Stylish Shapes set. I love this set, it's one of my favorite. There's squares and banners and circles. I am using the largest circle. And you could use punches for this. The reason I went with die cuts is I could not get my punch to work with the shape of the card front. It was always a little too high or a little too off to one side. So I went with die cuts so that I could have it where I want. If you've got a punch that works for you, go with that. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna bring up my die cutting machine. I normally do a lot of my die cutting ahead of time. So I'm gonna use my cut and emboss machine. And I'm going to set that off to the side just for a second so you can see my sandwich here. It's what I call my assembly. So I love the plates that come with the cut and emboss machine. There's directions right on them so you can't lose them. And they're numbered too. So we need the thick base plate, which is number 1. The thin plate for using with thin dies, which is number 2. And 2 of the number 3s. So 1 is my cutting plate. On top of that cutting plate, I'm gonna lay my card base. Then I'm gonna take my die and lay it with the rough side down, smooth side up, so that's your cutting side down. That's where I'm happy with it on the page. Hopefully it will stay there as I put my second panel over the top. So then I'm gonna slide this off my table so I can move this back over and you can see. I'm just gonna run it through my die cut machine. I apologize if I create a little earthquake as it jiggles. There we go, not too bad tonight, I think. And move this out of the way. Disassemble my sandwich. And I have cut my circle right out of the front of the card. Might be a little lower than I meant for it to be, but that's okay. We can roll with it. All right. So for the inside panel, it's a little different. I could very easily have created a peekaboo window and put a base here, but we want to have that fun fold interlocking effect. So we have a piece of basic white. This is 8 inches by 5 1/4. And on the top side, the 8-inch side, I scored it at 4 6. So what we're gonna do is the 4-inch panel is actually gonna be your base that you're gonna stamp your sentiment on. So we're gonna fold on that 4-inch score line towards the left, give it a crease, and then fold back to the right on that 6-inch score line. So we've created kind of a lopsided Z. And we're gonna do some stamping and then we'll assemble the card. So I have a piece of scrap paper I need to bring over here, along with my stamp. So tonight I am using, the sentiments are from the Charming Sentiments. This is actually retiring. Stampin' Up! Is retiring a lot of products as we bring out a new annual catalog. So you can visit my website and check out the Last Chance products, and then shortly you'll see some new products. And then the Simply Zinnia set is an online exclusive, which you can also see on the website. So I'm going to start with Blackberry Bliss. And that is what I'm going to use for the inside of my card. And remember, it's kind of a little backwards, but you want your fold off to the right. If I was smarter, I wouldn't have folded it till I was done stamping. A lot of times this gets in the way of my hand, but that's okay. Then we're going to grab some Melon Mambo ink and the Zinnia set. And I brought over the scrap paper because I'm going to stamp off the page a bit. Just like that. Of course, while I'm here, I don't want to forget my envelope. I almost did that earlier. And then the large reason for the piece of scrap paper is because I want to stamp tone on tone to just kind of jazz up the front of my card a little bit. So, in order to do that, I'm actually going to put a couple of Post-it notes right along the seam here because I don't want to stamp all over the front and back of the card base. And then here, I'm just going to stamp all over until I'm happy with how the card looks. You can see here why I need that scrap paper. And let's see. And I love it because it just adds a subtle little touch to my card front. All right. So there's the card base that's done. I'm going to peel away my Post-it notes. And let's see. I do need to, you'll see the scrap paper again in a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and assemble the card front first. So I'm going to flip the card base open, flip this over. You just want to put glue here. You can use whatever glue you like the best. We'll see my... All right, it worked this time. I was a little persnickety earlier. If you've been here before, you know my glue likes to act up on camera. Glue around the edges of that panel, and I wish I figured this out sooner. This was something I figured on my very last card. I kept folding it like this to place it down, and then I've got extra bulk here. If you're smart, do this. Fold it in half, and then try to center it. You can see what you're doing a lot easier than trying to hold that extra fold. So just center that on the panel, give it a fold, and there we go. This will fold in, and your card should look like this. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put our interlocking shape back in. You'll need some dimensionals, and here is the key thing, dimensional placement. I always stress this because I have been known on occasion to glue my cards shut with dimensionals. You don't want to do that. So we're just going to put dimensionals on the folded piece of cardstock, so on that right half. So I'm just going to put 3 of our larger dimensionals here. Peel the backing off. And then place my circle right in the hole that I cut it from. Give it a press. And just like that, I've created my interlocking shape. So now I just need to finish decorating the front. So here's why I said I needed that scrap paper back again. I cut already the next largest stylish shape circle. So I've got the 2 largest from the set here. We're gonna stamp on that a little bit. And then I've also pre-cut one of the banners for my front sentiment. So back to the Blackberry Bliss ink for a minute. And again, here you'll see why I need the scrap paper. My work surface would be a mess if I didn't have this. Okay, there we go. I love this image, it's so crisp. And then, let's see, that can go to the side. That banner was playing hide and seek with me for a minute. And then the hey there is from that Charming Sentiments set. I know it's retiring, but I'm still going to use it on my cards because it is so versatile with all the different sayings. Okay, I think that's all the stamping. So, to the interlocking circle, I'm gonna add this stamped circle. I could layer it with dimensionals, but I don't want to add too much bulk to the card because then I might have to add extra postage if I was mailing it. Okay, so there we go. And then I want to add my banner. Oops, I did forget one thing. Good thing I haven't lost my scrap paper yet. This would look perfectly lovely, right? But I can do a simple trick to just give it a little something. So I'm going to go back to my Melon Mambo ink for 1 second and my large floral, the single floral. I'm going to stamp off once, twice, and then stamp right on my label. And look, I've just given it a little something, taken away that stark whiteness of the label, and I love it. Okay, now since my circle's a little lower, I'm going to play for a minute here. Normally, I would put it here at the bottom, and I think I still will. I was afraid it might be too close to the bottom. But I could totally like just put it at the top here or put it at the bottom. I could do it to the left, to the right. So I'm going to put it to the left, but again, I have to be careful with my dimensional placement or I'm going to glue the card shut again. So I'm going to switch to my mini dimensionals and bring over my take your pick tool. And I'm going to double check I put my banner down in the right way. 2 dimensionals on what is the bottom of the banner when I flip it over, and then 1 more on this far top corner, like so. And then peel off the backings. There we go. And then I'm just going to be careful and make sure that none of those dimensionals are sticking to the card. Okay. And there we go. And this would be lovely, but I like to have a little bling. So I'm going to add some of our adhesive-backed shiny sequins that coordinate with this Simply Zinnia, the stamp set, and the DSP, which is beautiful and colorful. You're going to see a little bit in just a minute. So I'm going to add just a couple of sequins. I think I'm going to put one up here at the top since I was a little towards the bottom there. All right. So there is our beautiful interlocking fun fold card, which looks like it's a lot of work, but it actually isn't. So I know I'm often intimidated by fun folds, and I love it when they turn out to not be as complicated as I think they are. So there's a couple ways you can dress these up and make them a little bit different. So the first way is to add some DSP. So here the card looks the same, just different color sequins, but when you open it up, there's that beautiful DSP I was talking about. So I just put 2 panels of DSP on the right side of the card there. These panels are 1 3/4 inches wide by 5 inches tall. Pardon, you could use the same, you could use different, up to you, but just gives a little something extra to the card. You can use any shape die, circles, rectangles, squares, you name it. Again, with punches if you can get them to work for you. Here's another card. On this one, I used rectangles. And then instead of DSP or stamping on the front of this card, I folded my card base and then I added an embossed panel that is 5 1/4 by 4. Then I cut my rectangle out. And then I did add an extra layer here. Concept is the same, just a little bit different and not as much stamping. Now this one is a little tricky, but you can change the orientation on the card just in one manner. Instead of the card that opens to the right or to the left, right to left, I guess you'd say, this one opens to the top. So here is our manly card with our tools. It opens to the top, but the inside still folds the same. And for this one, I added 2 panels of embossed cardstock instead of DSP on the inside, and I used the metal plate to kind of go with the tool effect. And then last but not least, this one is a little bit different as well. I used DSP to create the card base. So this is our Latte Love online exclusive set with the coordinating DSP. So the entire card is made of DSP. Use my deckled circles on the front, added the coffee mug. And then I used petal pink for the inside instead of basic white, but I did add a basic white panel so that I have plenty of room to write on the inside. And you can see both sides of that beautiful designer series paper. All right, so there is your interlocking shape fun fold. I hope you enjoyed learning how to make it and seeing the different possibilities you have to create the card. If you haven't already checked it out, I'd love you to hop over to Facebook and find The Faithful Stamper. I post more information there about products and different offerings that the company has, as well as personal incentives or contests from time to time. And if you haven't subscribed to this YouTube channel, I would love to have you here as a subscriber. You can subscribe and then click that notification bell if you would like to be notified each time a video goes live here on the page. All right, thank you so much for watching. Take care and happy crafting.